The neon never sleeps in Las Vegas. But Marlene Kowalski sure did, for the first time in years, on a Tuesday night in 2009. She was 48, flat broke, and sitting on a cracked vinyl stool at the back bar of the Golden Nugget, counting the last of her husband's life, insurance money, $347 in 20s, 5s, and a single crisp $100 she kept folded in her bra like a secret. Her kids, Ryan, 31, and Jessica, 29, had made the rules crystal clear at the airport curb in Cleveland. "You're an embarrassment, Mom," Ryan had said, not even looking at her while he loaded her 2 suitcases into the rideshare. Jessica added, "We're done bailing you out. Don't call, don't write, just disappear." They'd paid for the one-way ticket to Vegas because it was cheaper than another rehab stint. The driver had smirked in the rearview when Marlene asked if the city really never closed. Now the city was wide open, and she was wide awake, staring at her reflection in the bar mirror, crow's feet, smoker's lips, hair the colour of drugstore blonde gone brassy. The bartender, a kid with a sleeve of Polynesian tattoos, slid a coffee in front of her. "On the house, ma'am." "You look like you need it more than tips." "Ma'am." The words stung worse than the divorce papers 15 years earlier. She drank the coffee black, left the $100 on the bar as a tip, and walked out onto Fremont Street with the duffel bag that held everything she owned. The duffel smelled like the mothballed attic of the house in Palmer, Ohio, where Ryan and Jessica had grown up believing their mother's only talents were roulette and regret. Marlene had always loved numbers. In another life, she'd been the head cashier at the West Side Market, the one vendors trusted to balance the till when the owner was drunk. She could memorize a line of figures the way poets remember verse. But the market closed at 2, and the tables at the Racino opened at noon, and somewhere between the daily double and the dinner shift, she'd lost the thread. Vegas didn't care about threads. Vegas cared about edges. She found a studio apartment above a pawn shop on East Charleston, $300 a month cash, no questions. The landlord, a retired showgirl named Dolores, with a voice like bourbon and gravel, took one look at Marlene's duffel and said, "Honey, everybody here's running from something. Rent's due on the 1st, or I change the locks. Welcome to the neighborhood." Marlene's first week, she walked the strip until her feet blistered, studying. Not the slots. Those were for tourists and dreamers, but the blackjack pits. She watched dealers' hands, pit bosses' eyes, the way cocktail waitresses timed their orbits. She bought a dog-eared copy of Beat the Dealer for $1 at a yard sale and read it under the flickering fluorescent in her studio until the words blurred. Edward O. Thorpe said the game could be beaten with math. Marlene believed in math the way some people believed in God. She started small $5 tables at Binion's during the graveyard shift when the pit bosses were tired and the players were drunks. She played perfect basic strategy, printed on a laminated card she kept in her purse like a rosary. She won $40 the first night, lost 20 the second, won 60 the third. She kept a spiral notebook, date, casino, table number, starting bankroll, ending bankroll, hours played. Columns and rows, the only children who never talked back. After a month, she had $1,200 and a system. She called it the Kowalski count. Nothing fancy, just a simplified high-low she could run in her head without moving her lips. She practiced on the kitchenette counter with a deck of bicycle cards Dolores loaned her, dealing to imaginary players, until the motions were muscle memory. She also practiced disappearing. No more peroxide blonde. She let the grey grow in, cut it short, severe, like a 1940s film star playing tough. She bought men's button-down shirts at the Goodwill and wore them over tank tops, sleeves rolled high. She wanted to look like someone who belonged at the table, not someone hoping to be noticed. 6 months in, she had $5,000 in a coffee can under the sink. She treated herself to one indulgence, a pair of Italian leather boots, black, low heel, soft as butter. She wore them everywhere, even to the laundromat. They made her feel taller than 5'3". The first time a pit boss made her, she was at the El Cortez playing 2 hands at $25 each. She'd been card counting for 3 hours. The deck was hot, rich in 10s. She split 8s against a dealer 6, doubled on both, won all 4 hands. The pit boss, a guy with a pinky ring and a gut like a medicine ball, leaned in. "Ma'am, we're going to shuffle up early." "House rules." Marlene didn't argue. She coloured up her chips, 1,100 profit, and walked out with the taste of copper in her mouth. Adrenaline, not fear. She was 49 and alive. That night, she bought a legal pad and started writing letters she never sent. Dear Ryan, I turned a $500 buy-in into $1,100 in 4 hours. I thought of the time you were 10, and I taught you to count cards with Cheerios on the kitchen table. You said it was magic. It's not. It's just paying attention. Dear Jessica, I wore the boots you hated, the ones you said made me look like a truck stop waitress. They're the most comfortable shoes I've ever owned. Funny how that works. She sealed the letters in envelopes, wrote their addresses in Cleveland, then tucked them into the drawer with her counting cards. Some debts you pay in silence. Year 2, she levelled up. She learned camouflage, sunglasses indoors, a fake limp some shifts, a phony southern accent others. She played the circuit, downtown in the mornings, strip in the afternoons, off-strip at night. She kept the coffee can bankroll growing, 10 grand, 15, 20. She paid Dolores 6 months' rent in advance and bought a used Honda Civic with cash so she could drive to the Indian casinos in California when Vegas heat got too high. She also learned to lose on purpose. Back counting, she'd wait for a fat deck, then swoop in like a tourist, bet big, get paid, then tank the next shoe deliberately to throw off the heat. The pit bosses started calling her the Grey Ghost. She liked that. At 50, she hit her first real score, the bicycle casino in Bell Gardens, a 6-deck shoe that ran plus 14 true count. She started at the minimum, 25, and ramped to 2 hands of 500 each. 6 hours later, she cashed out $42,000 in black chips. She mailed Dolores a postcard from the parking lot, "Buying you dinner when I get back. Wear something sparkly." She flew first class to Cleveland on a whim, rented a Lincoln Town car, and drove past the old house on State Road. Ryan's SUV was in the driveway, Jessica's minivan beside it. Kids' bikes on the lawn. She idled at the curb for 10 minutes, engine running, then drove away without knocking. Some ghosts stay invisible for a reason. Back in Vegas, she did something reckless. She entered the World Series of Poker. Not the main event, too rich for her blood, but a $330 satellite. She finished third, won a $10,000 seat. In the main, she lasted 3 days, cashed for $27,000, and got a face on Card Player magazine, wearing the boots and a smile sharp as a stiletto. The caption read, "Marlene the Ghost Kowalski, 51, Las Vegas." Ryan saw the magazine. He texted her from a number she didn't recognize. "Is this really you?" She stared at the message for an hour, thumbs hovering, then deleted the thread. Year 4, she had $250,000 in a safe deposit box at Nevada State Bank and a reputation. Casino hosts comped her suites at the Bellagio just to keep her out of their blackjack pits. She started playing poker full-time, cash games, mostly 10/20ths, no limit at the win. She was disciplined, humorless, impossible to read. The kids on the circuit called her Grandma Marl. She let them. She also started mentoring. A cocktail waitress named Tia, 22, single mom, 2 jobs, asked Marlene how she always knew when to fold. Marlene taught her bankroll management, pot odds, the importance of table image. Tia quit slinging drinks, started grinding online, sent Marlene a Christmas card with a picture of her daughter in a new coat. Marlene framed it above the kitchenette table. At 54, Marlene's body started betraying her. Arthritis in the hands, a cough that wouldn't quit. She quit smoking, took up swimming at the UNLV pool. She bought a condo in Summerlin, 2-bedroom, cash, no mortgage. The realtor asked if she wanted to see bigger places. She said, "I've lived in smaller spaces with worse neighbours." She hired a financial advisor, a Mormon kid from St. George who didn't drink, gamble or swear. Together they set up a trust, the Kowalski Family Trust, beneficiary to be named later. She funded it with municipal bonds, blue-chip stocks, and a silent partnership in a microbrewery in Henderson. "Compound interest," she told the kid. "The only sure bet in town." Year 7, she got a letter forwarded from the old East Charleston address. Jessica's handwriting on the envelope. Inside, a birth announcement, a granddaughter, Abigail Rose, born March 12, 2016. A wallet-size photo. Pink cheeks. Shock of dark hair. On the back, in Jessica's perfect Catholic school cursive, "We thought you'd want to know." Marlene stared at the photo for a long time. She bought a silver frame at Target, put it on the nightstand next to the unopened letters. She did not call. She did, however, start a new notebook. This one had only one column. For Abby. Every win, every cash out, every dividend check. She wrote it down. The number climbed. $750,000, $1.2 million, $1.8 million. At 57, she played the highest stakes game of her life. The big one for one drop at the Rio. $1 million buy-in for charity. She sold the Honda, cashed in some Apple stock, and wired the money with shaking hands. She lasted to the final table, finished fifth, won $2.8 million. After taxes and the charity cut, she walked away with $1.9 million and a Waterford crystal trophy shaped like a teardrop. The poker world lost its mind. ESPN ran a 30-minute profile. From welfare to Waterford, the Marlene Kowalski story. They filmed her swimming laps at dawn, feeding the koi in her condo pond, teaching Tia's daughter how to shuffle chips. They asked about family. She said, "I have a granddaughter I've never met. Maybe one day." Ryan called the number at the bottom of the screen. She let it go to voicemail. Jessica sent an email. "Abby starts kindergarten in August. She's asking about grandparents. We were wrong. Please come home." Marlene printed the email, folded it into the silver frame with Abby's baby picture. She booked a flight to Cleveland for the day after Abby's bat mitzvah, 9 years to the day since the airport curb. She didn't tell anyone. The months before the trip she spent preparing like it was the WSOP. She hired a stylist, subtle, not flashy. Tailored navy suit, pearl studs, the boots polished to a mirror. She had her teeth whitened, her roots touched up to a dignified silver. She practiced smiling in the mirror until it didn't look like a grimace. She flew commercial, sat in coach, read a paperback thriller. In the Cleveland airport, she rented a mid-sized sedan. Nothing ostentatious. She checked into a Marriott near the synagogue under the name M. Thompson. The morning of the bat mitzvah, she sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, engine off, watching families arrive. Ryan in a navy suit, thinner, grey at the temples. Jessica in emerald green, hair shorter, laughing at something her husband said, and Abby, 13, tall, awkward in heels, clutching a prayer book like a shield. Marlene's heart did something complicated. She got out of the car. Inside the synagogue, she took a seat in the back row. The service was in Hebrew and English, Abby's voice clear and steady as she read from the Torah. Marlene understood none of the Hebrew but all of the pride in Jessica's eyes. The reception was at a country club overlooking a golf course. White tablecloths, chicken dance, kids sneaking champagne. Marlene slipped in through a side door, handed her invitation to the greeter, forged by a graphic designer in Henderson for $200. She found a corner table, ordered a club soda with lime. Watched. Abby circulated like a politician, hugging aunts posing for photos. Ryan clapped too loud at every joke. Jessica kept glancing at the door. Marlene waited until the salad course. Then she stood, boots silent on the carpet, and walked to the head table. Jessica saw her first. The colour drained from her face. Ryan followed her gaze, mouth open mid-sentence. Abby turned, curious. Marlene stopped 5 feet away. Up close, Abby had Jessica's eyes and Ryan's stubborn chin. "Hi," Marlene said. Her voice didn't shake. "I'm your grandmother." Jessica made a sound like a sob swallowed halfway. Ryan stood so fast his chair tipped. Abby looked from her parents to the stranger in the navy suit. "You're the poker lady on TV." Marlene smiled, the practiced one, finally real. "That's me." Jessica found her voice. "Mum, how?" Marlene reached into her blazer, pulled out a thick envelope, cream stock, embossed with the Goldman Sachs logo. She handed it to Abby. "This is for you. Open it later, with your parents." Abby took it like it might bite her. Ryan finally spoke. "We messed up. We were kids ourselves. Marlene held up a hand. The room had gone quiet. Even the DJ lowered the music. 9 years ago you told me to disappear. I did. I learned a few things out there in the desert. 1. Nobody owes you forgiveness. 2. Family isn't a debt you collect. It's a hand you play with what you're dealt. She looked at Abby. 3. Sometimes the river card is a miracle. Jessica was crying openly now. Ryan's eyes were red. Marlene reached into her pocket, pulled out a single black chip. $100 denomination, Bellagio logo. She pressed it into Abby's palm. That's from my first big win. Keep it, or cash it. Your choice. Abby closed her fingers around it. Will you stay? Marlene glanced at the envelope. Read what's inside, then we'll talk. She turned to leave. Jessica grabbed her sleeve. Mom, please. Marlene looked down at the hand. Manicured nails, wedding ring, faint tremor. She covered it with her own. I'm staying at the Marriott, room 1420. Come by tomorrow. Bring bagels. She walked out the same side door, boots steady, heartbeat loud in her ears. Back in the hotel room, she kicked off the boots, poured 2 fingers of the Glenlivet she'd bought duty-free, and waited. At 10:17 p.m. came the knock. Ryan, Jessica, Abby, still in her party dress, envelope clutched to her chest. Jessica spoke first. $3 million. Marlene sipped the scotch. 3.2 after the last dividend. Invested conservatively. Vests when she's 18. Enough for college, grad school, a house, whatever she wants. No strings. Ryan's voice cracked. We don't deserve. Damn right you don't, Marlene said. But she does. Abby stepped forward. Grandma? The word hit Marlene like a royal flush. She opened her arms. Abby walked into them. She smelled like hairspray and birthday cake. Over Abby's shoulder, Marlene met Jessica's eyes. Tomorrow, she said. Bagels. And maybe I'll teach you all how to count to 21. Outside the window, the Cleveland skyline glittered. Smaller than Vegas, but brighter tonight. Marlene held her granddaughter tight and felt, for the first time in 9 years, like the house didn't always win.